Hey, good evening, all, and we are now on Soca or Die once again, episode 6, and we're going to talk about one of the spin-off genres of soca, Chutney Soca, which divides opinion. Some people think it's too glorifying the consumption of alcohol and other things, and some just love that they bring in the culture of India into local culture as well. Of course, you know our panel. They don't need any introduction. I'm probably having too much rum while I'm talking about Chutney Soca, but that's fine.
Hello.
I
So, Ever you wanted to start? You wanted to start?
I wanted to start because I didn't want to forget my contribution. So I will start for me at the point of creation. No, it's not actual creation of Chutney Soca. It's just when I first became aware that Chutney Soca might have been a thing. Even though when this came out, I don't know if it was Chutney Soca or if it was just Soca, but Chutney Bacchanal. I think when people start to think back to their oldest Chutney Soca, I know there's like Drupati and stuff, but Chutney Bacchanal for me is like the one. You think Chutney Soca, you think older, you think my mind at least goes right to Chutney Bacchanal. And because we just got off talking about videos, that video was also so epic at the time. I mean, who wasn't trying to jam? I can't sing words, I don't want to bastardize the people lyrics, but the man put a lot of effort into the lyrics. But
that was actually the first local music video I ever saw on BET. Chutney Bacchanal, I saw it on BET Jazz when I was like 8 or 9 or something like that.
Wow.
It was crazy how far that song went.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking that is back in the TTT TV6 era that we were talking about for real again on rotation. You would expect it. And I think Chris Garcia, that was I wouldn't call him a one hit, but that is a one hit everlasting wonder kind of thing, because I know he had releases after, but nothing compared to Chutney Bacchanal.
It has certain persons in this country, certain artists that we don't touch and we don't go around. Chris Garcia is one of them. We don't go around.
Other ones, exactly. Other people had to like earn and claw and hit after to make her.
Chris Garcia is part of the culture.
Cemented, rooted deep. First of all, everybody's mommy was in love with Chris Garcia, and all of us who were prepubescent at the time didn't even understand why we just loved looking at him either. Like Chris Garcia was just woo.
Chutney Jesus. There you go.
I don't know we can go. I don't know about the Chutney Jesus part.
I don't think we can go Chutney Jesus because there are others who
Ricky Jai,
exactly.
Chutney Jesus.
Consistent.
Because
Ricky Jai is a huge artist. So
Ricky Jai is like Chutney Jesus.
He probably
is. My confusion is I don't know if at the time Ricky Jai and even Drupati and Chris Garcia, when they were making their hits, the things we know and love them for, I don't know if at that time they were considering it Chutney Soca as a thing apart, or if it was just soca infused with what it would have been their traditional culture to some extent, but bringing their flavor to soca. When did it become a whole genre?
I think that's like
itself.
Yeah, I think that's like every other. I think that's like every other spin-off. You experiment, you infuse other things with it, you add to it, you whatever. And I mean, yes, the mention of chutney and soca, and you bring it together. Same thing like parang and soca, and you bring it together. And so in that way, I think with soca and the versatility of soca, when you start to play around, and it might be one song, it might be 2 songs, or it might be, and then you get momentum, and other people say, you know what, that song good. What I could do is I could do this, and I could bring in the sitar, and I could bring in the whatever, and then it becomes a thing on its own, kind of like groovy soca. You slow it down because you decided you wanted a particular feeling, and then all of a sudden
it's a whole thing on its own. True.
I think one of the problems that I've experienced, like with my lack of knowledge on Chutney Soca, is that we tend to listen to more the urban stations when we're looking for soca or in soca switch and things like that for carnival. And the things that we are exposed to, those it has to be a massive chutney song hit to hit our palate.
Right.
Whereas, because we're not looking for it, like not we, but I listen for me.
Right.
the part I don't really listen to Chutney Soca, but when a big one come, especially when it comes with a collaboration with a regular soca artist as well, it'd be so massive. But I wouldn't go and see the 20 to 10 in the Chutney realm. 1 to 10, we may hit it, but the 20 to 10 that do cross my path at all. No.
Which is part of the discussion, to be had today, because we could go into some of these songs, but I was saying or thinking as well, even though it is a subgenre and it is a thing apart, there is an element of what is mainstream and what is not really mainstream international, because it doesn't matter, who or what or when or why. But when we look at mainstream Chutney Soca artists, there are a few. But then even when you dig in the background, because I was saying, Ricky Jai is the most, is it prolific or most, medal?
Well, I can't even say it's
monarch.
I would say accomplished in terms of
most accomplished Chutney Soca artist. He has the most Chutney Soca monarch wins over everybody else. So Ricky Jai is a household name. If you're thinking, a Chutney Soca, Ricky Jai. But then there are others who have been out, who apparently are out, but we don't know because they're not necessarily mainstream. And so
mainstream,
right? So I was thinking, I never really considered it like that, because to the extent that you just assume that what you hear is what it have, right? And
right.
But then there is
so much more.
Yeah. And as we were saying in the break, we don't project ourselves to be or pretend to be, deeply knowledgeable in the non-mainstream artists. There are some who might hit, and it's so interesting because soca is not global mainstream, but then even within the soca there is
mainstream and
there's mainstream and not mainstream
and underground kind of thing.
Well, the interesting thing, well, go ahead, Cream. You go ahead.
I was thinking, in terms of Chutney hits, it doesn't all. I was speaking earlier about collaborations usually hit us, but then there are some Jepsting Niner that had no collaboration with a mainstream soca artist, and that was not even a major popular Chutney artist. But that song basically
it's
still a full stop. It was a hit full stop. It wasn't like a hit for Chutney.
He was mainstream. Well, at that time he was mainstream, and then remember he had the song, and then Kes came and he did the collaboration with Kes.
Right.
But the remix of it bring him into that realm and the urban realm.
No, but he was mainstream.
The original song was big before Kes even touched it. That was I think that's what Cream was getting at.
The
original song is what made it bigger, but the original song Jepsting Niner when it came out, I was like, that song was real bad, and I am nowhere near a Chutney fan, but to me, it's a good song is a good song.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the
right,
genre.
so I agree it was big for, but I was saying that the artist himself, he had been mainstream even before putting out Jepsting.
All right, cool.
Something, Peter?
Yeah, well, the interesting thing about Chutney is that if you really trace the history of soca, you would kind of say that Chutney was kind of always there, because if you go back to Rashoti and Om Shanti Om, right, and his whole claim that soca was built off of the rhythms that incorporated African and Indian rhythms
and Indian rhythms
blended
into the music.
But it still managed to just become an offshoot of soca somehow. I mean, we had the crazy Nani Wine, and then we had Drupati, Mr. Bisessa coming out in the 80s.
Yeah.
Right? And then I think it really got a resurgence in the mid-90s with Sunny Man, Lotela, and as well as Chutney Bacchanal. Those two big hits really propelled Chutney Soca, because Ricky Jai was around. But he had these songs, but I think he was more seen as a regular artist, like a regular soca artist. He was singing the March Cry. He was singing all his soca songs. The girl was whining in the video and whining off her way.
Yeah.
You didn't pigeonhole Ricky Jai.
Ricky Jai, no. So that's why I wanted to ask, right? Before, because you said a little bit of what I wanted to say there, Peter, in that my question was then, is it that, because I understand soca as well to have been the fusion of African and Indian rhythms, right? And so Chutney Soca as it stands today, I started asking myself as we started talking, is it that what we are calling Chutney Soca today is just local chutney music? And because we're like the soca element to me, if I have to marry Kareem's point as well to the point that Peter just made, the songs that are the collaborations and that take on more of a soca kind of rhythm, that percussion sound of soca that we know and love, those ones feel more soca, go a little further than the ones that are what we call in non-mainstream. And many of the ones that we call non-mainstream, now again, I'm not an expert. I just know what I would have heard in conversation and discourse. The ones that are non-mainstream, I know are sometimes just reproductions of songs from the motherland, from India, from Bollywood, that they repackaged without doing much repackaging either. Often it's the same song, just sung by a local artist.
It's like Sanchez.
I think it's the opposite. I think
like,
I wonder.
It actually is a lot like Sanchez. If I'm being real, it's actually been a complaint I've heard from some Chutney fans is that
in Chutney fraternity that they sing over these songs word for word. So then is it actually Chutney Soca or is it just local Chutney?
I think it's the opposite. So I think a lot of those that have been repackaged and where you put the soca on it are those that become more mainstream than those that are original. When I say original, originally written or recorded or whatnot. Because again, in doing some diving, there are those that aren't, and I mean not even because when you look at Jepsting Niner, all right, even the lyrics are in Hindi or whatnot, right? And those things, when you talk about Destra and Ricky Jai, and I hope I pronounced it correctly, or Chalet, right? Or that's maybe more French than Hindi, but okay. But or Chalet Nage, or Chalet.
You know the song?
That's Hindi.
Sing whatever. But so those are the ones for some reason that we gravitate towards. So what does that say about us and our heritage and the spirit and the vibes? I don't know. And then they have others.
That's culture. That's Chinese there. That's Chinese right there. That's what we are.
Exactly. And then I found others like Reshma. Oh, gosh, I apologize. But Reshma and thing, because they had a video. It was in the 2021 releases, and again English thing. It was a new original production, but we don't know them. Well, I never hear about them, but they seem to be big, right? So I think it might be the opposite, and I thought that was interesting. That it's kind of the flip. Now there are chutney songs, as in chutney songs that they take and they reproduce and they repackage and they put a local spin to it. But I think that Chutney Soca is separate from that, because even chutney artists, not Chutney Soca artists, chutney artists differ from Chutney Soca artists.
Did not know that.
Because there's a Chutney Soca monarch and there's a Chutney monarch. And there are two different competitions. And there's Chutney Brass, which outlasted the actual Brass Festival.
I wanted to point out that too, because I was going back to I think I was going to say that for the next one, but I was like, because Chutney Soca monarch, because when I did the research to find out about who won the most times, it was Ricky Jai, indeed, and they were saying that 2020 was 25 years of Chutney Soca monarch, right? And when I was doing the search, Chutney Brass came up, and I was like, "But look how Brass Festival just fade into nothingness, and Chutney Brass is still there." And I wanted to ask about Brass Festival and thing, but we can talk about that in another episode. But
the thing about it, even though it's a subgenre, it's a genre with a huge following. Like my early days working in the South office for the Express and having to cover stories in Penal and those areas, and I would be jumping into taxis and just hearing pure chutney music. People like how people you're jumping somebody's car and hearing random dub or a rap mixtape or something like that. These people were just listening to straight chutney on a CD, and I was like, wow, this is the thing.
More what's the word? More year round than soca?
You mean if it outlives the season?
Yeah.
No. If I say that, I'm speaking in ignorance.
I really can't say. I don't know enough about it.
Because I mean, if you're saying I'm just saying if you're saying that they have such a such a strong following, but also that you know, there is a kind of affinity towards it, you know, whether or not it outlives the season. Because I'm thinking here about songs like Radica, right?
Right.
Right.
Now that is applicable anytime, any season, any reason, right? And it was a big hit. And I think it did come, I think it was released before Carnival, because it was, I don't think it was a Carnival release is what I'm saying.
Good question. Do you think that in the chutney genre or chutney soca genre, a lot of it is art imitating life, so it kind of hits and resonates better than and throughout the year as well, rather than just like as in jump and wave soca, which is just for that time?
Maybe because that's what
whole year.
But maybe I don't know if it's the content or if it is again because it's so like there is a beat, there is a chutney, and there is a soca, and there is a liveliness to it, but it's also not us. You know, it's not. I don't know. But I get what you're saying.
I think that is because, you know, like certain things not made for the entirety of Trinidad. If you like it, you like it, but it's kind of made for a specific set of
the audience.
Yeah,
they have their audience.
You cater to the audience, and once your audience and fan base is strong, it's true. And also, I would say this: that how many years now we are trying to get soca global and trying to get soca mainstream in terms of mainstream media, in terms of the world, right? And we're not hitting it, right? We're not hitting it. But as Peter said, the first video he saw on BT was Chutney Bacchanal. Not that was the first one, the first one he saw. Can't it be a situation where it will probably be a lot easier to sell chutney to the world than soca to the world?
I feel like just share numbers. We know what happens in Asia and Asian territories, right? They just literally have large populations, and so
I think
in terms of views and that kind of thing, you have more individual people interacting with your content. So from that perspective, but when people talk about being global, they're talking really about American markets.
Which is part of the issue, because again, when we, and not to go back to the Carnival Tobacco video, but you know, and the kind of documentary snippet there, but it's the same thing, because when we think about what is our export strategy, we don't necessarily think, we think in terms of, again, exports of goods and services to the United States. We're not more to Canada and sometimes to Europe. And when we say Europe, we really mean the UK, because we're not talking about Estonia, or we're not talking about, I don't know, wherever else, right? Germany or who. We have this idea about mainstream, about what export is, about what exists in the world is sort of centered on those things. We're not even thinking about Latin America, because we could have a whole conversation on these Spanish fusion soca, right? Maybe in the next season. But you know, we very much pigeonhole ourselves into these things, not recognizing that, hey, your audience might be elsewhere. Because even when we look at the kind of seamlessness with which Afro soca and even dancehall, and because I remember one of those places, maybe Canada or something, and I was walking through I was walking through somewhere, and I was hearing music, and I thought it was Caribbean people, right? And because, well, they look like me, right? And and the music was, so I think, but when I got close, I was like, well, I don't know this artist. Maybe maybe I'm getting old. But then I realized, no, this is Afrobeats. It wasn't even Afrobeats. It was something else, right? Because there is similarity. But you're here trying to penetrate
to the US,
New York and this and that, when you have billions of people.
And you know, the funny, sorry, I was just gonna say, the funny thing is that potentially, I mean, we already do have willing and ready audiences in a lot of those markets. One of, I think when Marshall opened our eyes right in the early or late 90s to how soca was taking Japan by storm even then. I think Steel Pan has done that successfully. Steel Pan recognized a long time ago, Japan loves Steel Pan. Let's start exporting it. Let's start doing a cultural exchange there. I remember being a teenager in All Star Spaniard, and a delegate from Japan was there in the Panyard. It was like a cultural exchange, and they were there learning Pan. And I feel as though I think you're making an excellent point, is what I'm trying to say, because we do really have captive audiences that we are not serving even Europe. In one of the episodes earlier, we were talking about how Saucy's song was big in like Italy or wherever the heck it was. Like, they are waiting for us. I mean, they don't speak our language, none.
But they're ready
But
for it.
they are ready and waiting. And we keep trying to, and we keep looking at a market penetration strategy for the US only, as opposed to other territories.
And the US is unique. And in trying to tailor your penetration strategy for a very unique market means you lose out on all the others.
And you also dilute where you possibly need not dilute.
Exactly.
It's kind of like food. It's kind of like food, right? Exactly. Where we know the palate in the US and the US is different. Exactly. So you're there and you're chinksing on the seasoning and you're chinksing on the whatever else. Yes. Right? Where other people who are accustomed to spices and accustomed to
they're waiting to
Peter, you have something to interject?
Peter.
I was going to say something after, but I'll say Peter.
I'll give Peter and then Kareem.
No, I think that's a whole other topic that we really need to look at in terms of how we market and what are we really catering for. I think perhaps we have gotten into a comfort zone, or the artists have gotten into a comfort zone, knowing that they have this niche market in the diaspora across the Caribbean and little pockets of Europe and North America, where they know we could do this and we will score. And it's perhaps come back to bite them now. And I don't know if that is the same situation with Chutney Soca, but it's a really interesting situation to really assess to see what is really the strategy, because perhaps we've always had a strategy, but we didn't realize how narrow the focus always was.
Yeah. Kareem, and then we'll switch gears a bit. Kareem.
Yeah. I was just back in the different markets and stuff. I'm thinking, Dwayne Bravo came to mind because Dwayne Bravo has a certified hit with his champion song. And because he's a cricketer, obviously, and he's revered in the cricket nations and stuff like that. And just with sheer numbers in those places, it's a certified hit. Look at Fireball, which is I forget the name of the song, but with that song that Fireball had, that was a #1 hit in France at a point in time.
Is that What I Want? What I want is you.
Yeah.
Certified hit in France. That's a #1 song in France, right? I don't think the big 3 or the big 5 in soca had a #1 hits in other countries. Like
in any of those territories.
We can have Calypso Rose had the hits.
France again. Yeah.
Soca / Calypso Mary. We
Calypso Mary.
So,
but they are obviously going to the willing and ready markets.
Let's switch gears, because as you talk about Soca Jesus and Calypso Mary, in Chutney Soca then, is it Ricky Jai or Ravi B?
I think
respect. I put respect on Jai. I put in respect on
one Jai. Peter, what are you saying?
Jai.
I think because I'm old, I'm the age I am, I have to say Ricky Jai, but I have gained a whole lot of respect for Ravi B, because I know a lot of people say things about him as an artist, but when he hits, he has hit big. Like
I have no problem with Ravi. I just say you're not giving it to Ricky.
Prescription and those songs.
Yeah.
Those were songs that were not just
like bread.
I know what to say. I was in my kitchen Christmas Day cooking up a storm. Is your mother? She want me buy her bread for she.
No, I mean and it comes back to what Kareem was saying too in terms of relatability. He made songs, even though it's Chutney Soca and you're not really a fan of the genre personally, but when Budget and Prescription hit, I related to it.
But I think because he didn't write it,
you always know I was a drinker. I like that you can't change me.
Yeah. But I think for like him and KI, right? I felt as though what really made their songs stand out in the years when they had their major hits was they didn't write from and I don't know if this is going to come across in a way or show my own bias, but they didn't write it from a chutney perspective. They wrote on topics that everybody knows and understands. It wasn't specific to their culture. It wasn't specific to, or any particular. It was just a song about things that everybody could understand and enjoy. And I feel as though I think that is potentially what makes the difference sometimes between the mainstream and the underground.
Kareem,
I think
or Ravi B? Who's the Chutney Jesus?
I think that Ajay performed more miracles, so I'd go with Ricky. If I have to pick up a CD and I have to pick up a CD with either of the two, I pick up a R&B CD before Jesse.
You're picking up Ravi before?
All right, I'll pick up a R&B CD before Ricky.
I think it might be one of those things where the same thing that we spoke about with Alison and Patrice. I think it's that kind of thing, like, and not to say that Ricky Jai is outdated, but just that he is the senior in the business, or he's the one, like he's the road paver, like he paves the way for understand for Ravi
Moses.
And Ravi B is paving the way for. And another discussion topic I had was, okay, well, what is young Chutney Soca? Because other than KI, again, this is in the context of mainstream, because I saw some young Chutney Soca artists that haven't really come to our radio stations or, come to our ears like
urban
that.
radio.
Well, again, we're not really listening to the Akashvanis and things to hear these songs.
So we talking. So from our frame of reference, who are the young and up and coming
that are mainstream, like Ricky Jai and like Ravi and Nisha B and like Omadat Mirage?
Nisha's still making music.
Like Hitman, like who is carrying, who is following them?
I don't think that their measurement of success is crossover into urban.
I don't think they care.
So I'm not debating whether or not they are, but I mean for
the purpose of this discussion and from our frame of reference.
And for the purpose of the broader soca discussion, when we talk about soca, and yes, this song was a who is carrying that flag? Put it in the comments. But some of the big ones, especially and we spoke about Drupati, but Drupati and Marshall, I would never forget that song. Well, I mean, they have real unity.
I don't want to sing it because I don't want to be disrespectful, but
I support in that kind of way. We were talking about
You know what I need, Chutney Soca artists? I need y'all to come hard with the lyric videos because I want to sing along, but I also never want to disrespect. I'm very big on that. I never want to disrespect your language, your culture. I don't want to get it wrong. I want the lyric video so that when I'm making my vocalizations, they could sound closer to what it's supposed to be. Because I have a lot of respect.
To remove all doubt, yes, but somehow I don't feel as offended or as thing, because we all sit here and sing Faloma, right, on whatever we assume.
But I wish I knew what I was too.
That's what I'm saying. From the point of edification, but that doesn't prevent me from singing.
No.
To him, I don't know, because it almost sounds Oriental to me too. Almost sound very Chinese. And
it is Asian.
I know when they say Asian cultures.
Right. Understood, but it sounded more, or it can sound more on the Chinese side of things, more Oriental than broader Asian. And I know you're talking about Chinese parang. When the man say that's how they sound,
that's how it sounds.
Offensive.
It's not meant to be. Yeah.
So, if Drupati would give us the words, that would be great.
Lyric video, please.
But I would
go back. Somebody needs, for the sake of the culture, go back and give us the lyrics to some of these major.
Circle all the way right back.
Because now let me tell you something. Nothing will stop me in the height of the fete with a couple white and sprites in from singing from my heart. I will sing it. I will whine low. I will do my best Bollywood impression. And if when I see, I will clap for them in the fete. This is your jam.
No, but I think because it's the same thing where we sing the Spanish songs. We know
we
didn't know what Suavemente is singing.
I know what he sings.
Yeah.
No.
We need a lyric video. We need a lyric
Right,
video.
you know Suavemente Besame, but the rest of the verse and chorus, you sing what you hear. If you know Spanish, it's one thing, but if you don't, people vocalize it. Kareem, you're saying something.
No, I was just saying that if we're doing the reviews, we need to circle right back to Chutney Bacchanal because we don't really know if it's
And
jazz.
for years, we've been,
We don't really know that per se, so we need to get into that. I think maybe that's something that genre could probably really benefit from the lyric video side of things, just to kind of get people understanding that what we saying out here.
But Marshall was that a recent one, Junction? I had like that one too. That was thing. Now
was that Chutney?
Chutney?
Yeah.
Junction.
Yeah, I have the right away. I'm gonna jump. Yeah.
But what was the who was the Chutney artist on that?
It doesn't have to be a collaboration to be a Chutney, but I don't remember if there was a collaboration either. But listen to the instrumentals.
So it was supposedly Chutney Soca. But anyway, Prophet Benjamin now sings Chutney Soca.
I don't know any of his Chutney Soca songs other than the one that he.
There've been a few people who've done Chutney Soca without being,
artists. Right.
So like we had Denise Plummer with Carnival Karani, and we had Chromatics actually.
Yeah.
But the only Prophet Benjamin I know is the
Prophet
one
Benjamin had one. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did
the
have
one where
one.
he remixed Hitman song. Do you remember Hitman Mr. Shankar? Hey, listen, Mr. Shankar. Listen, Mr. Shankar.
Roman Roti wasn't Prophet too?
But you do me a favor, cause
Roman Roti was Patch, I think.
Patch.
What? Sorry.
When they drink their they would.
Yeah, that's Patch.
That's okay.
Oh, that was Patch.
And then who had was it Prophet who had the one with the that would have been 3 or 4 years ago. I'm gonna look for it. Sorry. Hold on.
You know who does surprisingly well?
You know what's interesting though? As we mentioned this from the last episode about Bunji Garlin not being in having much music videos. He has a song with Omar Dat Mirage, Me and Motor Car, which has a music video.
And that song back.
But I was about to say, you know who's done surprisingly well in Chutney? Bunji. And that's what I was about to say. His Chutney collaborations are
that
JMC Trovini.
Toy Festival.
Toy Festival.
I love that song.
I don't know what they said. That is one of my favorite.
CDD,
and raving and every month. Right. They say that.
And that actually has a music video too as well, but it's without Bunji.
She mother home waiting and anticipating, so signal if you see the job.
So which was the Prophet Benjamin? Sorry to go back, but Peter, which was the Prophet Benjamin you were referring to?
Was it True Wine? Not True Wine, right?
Because the Bygone Joker one, that was Chutney, wasn't it?
I don't know. But why
he had a song. He had Mr. Shankar. He had No Lokani.
No Lokani. I don't want no Lokani.
The one you're talking about is the one with you could
and
bring
he have this seamstress.
You could bring it in a cup. You could bring it in a cup. You could bring it. I want me rum in the morning. That one with Hunter.
With Hunter, yep.
Right. And I think
and if I get cut by shaving, I rubbing it on my chin. Yeah. That's tune.
But Bunji and Shami, Soca Bangara.
True.
Pakistani, come down Trinidad. Dancing at Bangara and they get in a red bar for a tanana.
Chutney Bunji is top tier.
That's what I was also saying, you are not a soca, like a real top tier soca artist until you have a Chutney collaboration.
Yeah. Prophet had I just found the Bygone Choker song. And the video was very funny. It had like some of those local comedians at the time up and coming, like YouTube comedians in it. Y'all don't remember that song? She was my Bygone Choker, something. I found it. You all just hold on. All just hold on.
Another Chutney Soca boss is Destra, and I remember saying Destra and Ricky Jai with Oshali because that was good. Because I think that was after she came off of the high of Chutney Soca collaborations with Shuin, because Shuin is also Chutney Soca boss in his own right, because between Don't
That's
Stop and
Kumbeta.
Kumbeta, yeah,
That's an actual Chutney song with 2 soca artists.
yeah. And that is I think that was, I don't know, that was great. Come better, come wine on me. I'll be your melody and you'll be my harmony. Long time you're watching me. Yeah. And even Don't Stop was again good. And I think that is more in the comfort because it's English and so you understand, and you sing and they could sing along. But both I think were good. And then the Ricky Jai she did, I think, was good too.
I feel like, okay, I found the song. I'm gonna play it, but I think the video that I recall might have been just like a fan video. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Give me 2 seconds.
You'd have to
share audio this time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you ready? Yes,
yeah, I wouldn't call that Chutney Soca.
Why?
But,
because it's a rhythm?
Because of the rhythm. Yeah, no, because it's not chutney music. I think chutney.
I think he entered. That was one of the years. I think he entered Chutney Soca Pana.
I think you have to have certain elements, and even though he is singing in what we assume is Hindi,
Yes.
I don't see it as chutney. I am looking for.
Oh, it's very high.
No authority on this already. I can't say if it was or wasn't.
Put it in the comments. Tell us, fans of Chutney Soca, would you consider that Chutney Soca? Tell us, fans of any kind of soca. Is that chutney or no?
What I will do is, let me see. Tell me if you can hear this.
I really didn't consider this chutney at all.
I wouldn't consider it. I feel this feels less chutney-like.
Listen, wait for it.
I love this song.
I wind up to this.
Okay, let me get the not just now version, not the road mix version.
I go jam on the junction, on the junction.
Some real bad.
Why is it also?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like that's a Juve classic.
Yeah.
But listen to the background. You hear it?
Huh? I mean, I get what you mean with the drums, but I don't know.
What are the bells? Sorry. You hearing it? That is Bollywood in the background.
I feel as though Bygone Soca was more chutney than this.
I think
that song give him a carnival tobacco.
I just want to say my great grandfather, I think it was Indian, and I am offended for him. That is not.
I think if we go back into the thing,
what part of what you just said is that it's the same great grandfather.
We do.
Listen to the instrumental only version, and you would hear the Bollywood in the back, even with the bells and the thing. Yeah. My last contributions would be of course we had after Mr. Shankar we had what's this one? Oh gosh, Ram Singh Sharma, right? So I think that was a mainstream.
That was an excellent song. That was a runaway hit.
Yeah, that was regional and thing. But some of these artists have been in the game long time. When you talk about Kenneth Salick and Hitman and even the band JMC Trevini and well,
Delina Dan.
yes.
We hired Delina Dan every year for staff party, and they literally respect to Delina Dan because they usually appear at our Christmas party, our annual Christmas party, and we are a network of about, I want to say about 15 to 1800 persons locally. So that party, it's a fete, right? And they literally mash up every year. Every time they come, they mash up. Everybody is jumping up. Delina Dan.
As you say, mashup. Remember the Ricky Jai and Marshall collaboration?
Motor.
Yeah. And Kill Me Dead, there is another song, but I cannot find it, where they had Marshall come on stage, Marshall come on stage.
That's not the same song.
It's the same song.
That's the same song, right? You sure?
That is what?
You sure that's not Motor?
Okay, you yours again, you right. Show me yours, I should do right. Everything you right. Let we mix it together.
No, that you singing something different. You singing Moto. Osunda, I'm again vocalizing. Osunda,
vocalize, Gil.
Huh?
Let's say vocalize, Gil. Go ahead.
Yeah.
But nobody's up here.
That anyway, whatever. But also because y'all are again the instrumental only. Is Bottom in the Road a Chutney Soca song?
Yes.
Exactly. It's the same thing with Junction. It is. Listen to the music.
I struggle with Junction. I think you're on your own.
Party. Well, that's not the background. But
if you go based on the lack of lyrical content and repetition of words, majority of our songs are Chutney.
Wow. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, and this is where we end this episode of Soca or Die. Unfortunately, we have run out of time.
Even though there is no collaboration from a Chutney Soca artist or somebody who is niche to that genre or, plugged into that genre, the music, that same fusion of Chutney instruments and Chutney rhythm and Chutney, what you call that, cadence, Chutney whatever, is there in who you might call this thing? Bottom in not, and in Junction.
I'm not buying it.
I'm not buying it, but I will definitely buy. I will definitely sell the Iowa George sings Chutney.
No, I think so. Listen, let me for our what you might call it.
We want to talk about the Cora River video. That 9 Cora.
That was not shot on Cora.
The what?
The Cora video, Cora River.
Somebody pull that up.
While you're looking for that, I want to play the what you call this thing. You all need to just take out Iowa, take out Iowa's voice.
Already, I have it.
Just now, let me. Tell me if you can hear. Oop, no. This is Chutney.
Right. We didn't deny. We didn't deny.
You can hear the chords and everything.
Exactly.
We did not deny Bottom in the Road. What we're denying is Junction.
Yeah, I'm not taking Junction.
Nah, remove.
I think you've been outvoted.
No, remove Marshall's voice and listen to the instrumental. I'll find an instrumental for you on the break, guys. What's the next video being queued?
Too much Gil get jammed.
Cora River.
Because that'll take away from the fact career. That'll take away from it.
No, too much jamming and jam just happened in 2014 that they even be
I don't matter. But you jammed to Drupati and Marshall Indian Girl before.
Yes, but that wasn't made for jamming. That song was made specifically for jamming on corners and junctions across the world.
That don't mean you can't jam. You could jam to Chutney. Do we need
Yes, you can.
Nobody is debating that it has to have.
Yeah,
it's just
jam on the junction. That is.
Chutney is for jamming too.
Yes.
Oh my. Okay. Yeah.
Hashtag.
But all
right. Here's the Cora River video, guys. Here it is.
Just now, wait. You have to wait for right. Good.
I feel this channel going to turn into a review channel. I feel my head out. Just review some videos.
Why are we? What's the thing of the video? What are we commenting on?
The fact that it was not shot at Coral River.
Oh. Okay.
Oh my baby, come and lie with me in Cora.
I'm happy.
You buy a beach though.
Right. But
hell yeah, listen, sugar daddy, it's only one place to go in.
maybe Coral was closed.
I think that's the explanation.
It is because this is 2021. Coral closed.
Oh my baby, come and lie with me in Cora.
All right.
So I guess that's the height in the video now, right? He takes one with Cora, we're not doing it in Cora now, so you just write up Cora and you spell it wrong. I understand the concept. I get it. I don't like it, but I get it.
All right, guys. We have like less than a minute. We are over on this episode.
Yeah, and I think that we are out. Let's see you in the next episode.
Bye.